Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this episode of my tutorial video channel. This is part 4 of interaction between demand and supply and determination of equilibrium price and quantity in the market. In part 3, I have discussed how the black market price of a commodity, certainly a necessity commodity, is determined in the market by the demand supply condition when the government imposes a price ceiling on a commodity. That is, when there is excess demand, then government may interfere and impose a price ceiling. And if that happens, in most of the cases, a black market price is fixed by the demand supply condition. And in this video, in this part, I will show what will happen if the opposite thing takes place. That is, in the context of excess demand, that is, demand is more than supply, we have discussed price ceiling and black market. So what will happen if there is excess supply of a commodity? Now, suppose wheat production in the country has witnessed bumper crop in 2 consecutive years. Wheat production has enormously increased. Due to bumper crop in 2 consecutive years. So, in 2 consecutive years, wheat production in a country has witnessed bumper crop. So, supply of wheat has increased enormously, and the supply exceeds the market demand at that point of time. So, if we draw the figure, we will get this figure. On x-axis we measure quantity and on y-axis we measure price. Say D sub 0 is the demand curve and S sub 0 is supply curve. Q sub 0 is the equilibrium quantity and P sub 0 is the equilibrium price. As I have said you earlier many times, still I am repeating once again, whenever you are to analyze this kind of situations and come to a conclusion, you start with the assumption that the market is in equilibrium. That is, an equilibrium price and an equilibrium quantity exists in the market. So this is the situation. That is, P0 is the equilibrium price and Q0 is the equilibrium quantity. Now, due to bumper production, supply has exceeded demand. So, price has naturally fallen, that is plummeted at a new low level. And as a result of this, the producers, that is the farmers who produce wheat, have been suffering badly financially. And government wants to give them relief, so government imposes a price support. That means the government orders that wheat cannot be sold below this price. Say P sub S is the support price that has been announced by the government. So wheat cannot be, that is per ton or per quintal, whatever it may be. That means wheat cannot be sold at any price below PS, that is lower than PS. Now you see, if the government imposes such price support, that is the minimum price of wheat, then what is happening? At this price, this is the quantity demanded. Say this is Q sub D. That is, much of the quantity would be sold in the market at P sub S price, and at this price, that is the support price P sub S, the farmers are willing to sell, say, Q sub S. So there comes a huge excess of supply by this amount, that is excess supply due to price support by the government. Is equal to Q sub S minus Q sub D. As we move along the demand curve, we know from the theory of demand that as price falls, quantity demanded increases, and as price increases, quantity demanded falls. So when P sub 0 was the price, then Q sub 0 was the equilibrium quantity. Now price has increased from P sub 0 to P sub S due to government intervention. As a result, quantity demanded has fallen from Q sub 0 to Q sub D. Now what will happen? Farmers cannot sell at P sub 0 price, and most of the buyers cannot buy at P sub S price. So what will happen? Now, since the government has introduced the price support, now it is government's duty to come out with a solution. Now there can be two solutions. Number one, government can find out another demand channel. Maybe government can export the excess wheat to other countries, or if this does not happen, that is, if the government is not able to export the excess quantity to other countries, then what will happen? Then the government itself has to purchase the excess wheat at that price, that is P sub S price. Correct? So this gap, Q sub S minus QD, will be overcome by government programs. One can be new demand, that is exporting to other countries at a price PS, either PS or maybe a little bit lower than PS, but certainly not at P sub 0, or purchase the excess supply at price P sub S. So when there is excess supply and the government introduces a price support, that is that commodity, in our case it is wheat, cannot be sold at a price lower than P sub S, then there will be huge excess supply because demand for wheat will fall as prices increase. And since the government has the duty to give relief to the farmers who are in misery, the government has to intervene. Now government has two ways: either to create a new demand, that is create a new demand from some other countries so that the excess supply can be exported, and if this does not happen, that is government is not able to export excess supply or excess production, then the government itself has to purchase the excess supply, that is Q service minus QD, at P service price, that is at the support price. Correct? So in part 3, I discussed how black market price in the market of a commodity is fixed by the demand supply condition. That is when there is excess demand in the market and the government imposes a price ceiling. And in this episode, I have shown what will happen if there is excess supply. If there is excess supply, then price of that commodity, in our case it is wheat, price of that commodity will fall. And in this example, price of wheat has nosedived due to huge production. So the farmers are in misery. So government has to intervene, and government has intervened by imposing a support price. That is, government has ordered that wheat cannot be sold at a price less than P service. So at this price, quantity demanded will fall from Q sub 0 to Q sub D. Naturally, as prices increased, but producers, that is the farmers, are ready to sell Q service quantity at P service price. So this excess, that is Q service minus QD, prevails. Now government has to intervene again. So government has two ways to solve this problem. The government has either to open a new demand channel, that is create demand from some other countries and export the excess supply, or government itself can purchase the excess supply from the farmers at P service price, that is at the support price. Correct? So this is all about interaction between demand and supply when there is excess supply of a commodity in the market. Okay, so far so good. This is enough for this video. I believe you have well understood this. Still, if you have any doubt in your mind, if you have any query, please feel comfortable to let me know through the comment section, and I shall be more than glad to reply to your all relevant queries, comments. And if you think this video is useful or beneficial for you, please do share the video with your friends, brothers, sisters, colleagues. Okay, and finally, thank you very much for watching this video. Stay well and goodbye.